Welcome back to The Devil's Advocate with me, your host, Matthew Cohen. I'm so excited to have a dear friend of mine on today, Ante Jakic.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me today.
Oh my God, such a pleasure having you on. Ante is, like myself, one of the top agents in the business at a very young age. He has sold over $1 billion of real estate, which is tremendous since I don't want to put this out there, but he's 5 years younger than me. Oh, to have your skin again. He has a very, very successful team at Compass. And honestly, he lives a much more exciting life than me. He has so much more balance, at least that I know.
I think balance is a hard word. I feel like if I'm in New York, there's no balance. It's just work. But I always need to book something.
Yeah.
I always have something booked.
I feel like I see you more in the Hamptons than in the city.
You do, because I actually have time to hang out. With my schedule in the city, I feel like it's just work.
Makes two of us. Yeah, I mean, people like see the facade, but they don't really understand.
Yeah, exactly. People are like, oh, he's in the Hamptons, he's in Japan, he's here, he's there. Actually, I went on a pitch recently, and somebody pitched against me. I guess somebody told them, and the seller asked me for my travel schedule.
Oh, wow.
Couldn't believe that
Damn,
one.
okay, getting really deep in it.
I know.
But little do they know, I mean, I always say, I don't know if you ever say this, but when I travel, I feel like my business sparks. It's like they know I'm about to go away. So
Also,
they reach out.
I answer every call because
Totally.
I'm hanging out.
Totally.
So I could answer every call. It's like a game.
So, because Ante is on the younger side, and because you are so fun and I just love you as a person. You have such a great personality. No wonder why you're so good at this.
Thank you.
This job we do. I actually want to talk about more almost fun things with you. So, one of the things that one of the aspects of being a broker that I think is so interesting and that I really enjoy is that, we have to be the expert with a client, but we also are giving our personal opinion to the client, right? Especially with buyers. I mean, we're telling them what we think is professionally correct and what will make them money and what will be great for resale. But also we're telling them what we like personally, right? Because it's a personal relationship, so they're trusting us. So I guess when I was thinking about that, I was wondering if when you're showing apartments or even just homes in general, what are pet peeves you have? What are things that you hate, or what are things you see apartments and you're like, I can't believe that.
Oh my God, it's actually really bad for me because sometimes I walk into a kitchen, you see grease or something dirty and all this stuff on the counter. And I'm like, are these people really selling? This is not a real seller. It can't be. Cookie crumbs. I don't care if you have kids, a dog, whatever. If you're trying to get top dollar for your place, it needs to feel clean.
I actually, a few years ago, started carrying, the Swiffer, the dry wipes.
Yeah.
I literally take them out of the package from my apartment and I'll stick just one in my pocket almost every day. Because even with apartments that are staged, I'm like, there's no cleaning supplies. What if I need to dust it off?
Yeah, or what if someone comes in eating a muffin, a buyer, and they always do that for the morning showings or coffee. They leave it on the counter. It's dirty.
I think one of my biggest pet peeves is when the toilet bowl is open.
Oh God, I know. Even if a broker's late, go in there. Put the toilet seat down.
Totally.
Turn the light on. It's just gross. It's an eyesore.
It's gross. I always make sure to get to my listings early and I shut all of them. When I'm with a buyer and we go to apartments to see for them, I will actively go to the bathrooms to just see if they're all fine.
Yeah, no, that's a huge pet peeve. Also, last year I was selling this place. I used to get there 30 minutes before it. The seller told me he had the cleaning lady coming always the day before, I would spend literally 30 minutes straightening up because he had like cereal out, all this stuff. And I just couldn't take it. Like I got there early because I personally would be like, this is gross. I had to like put the stuff away before a showing.
And it's always the sellers who are like, I'm so good about keeping the apartment clean.
I know. Like
it's
once you tell me there's a cleaning lady coming, I'm like, okay.
Right? Like what are they actually
is she
doing?
Organizing or is she dusting around your,
totally.
pot?
It's the worst is when you're selling an apartment with tenants in it because you like, it's not the seller's stuff. So I always feel weird moving things around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was actually so funny the other day I was showing with a broker that we're both very close with, and she got to the showing right as we got there. So my client and I, like at 4:00, it was like she was like 4:01. We're like in the lobby. She's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry that I'm like a minute late, and it's fine. So we go to the apartment. We walk in and she's like, it's actually great that this is happening this way because you can see the natural light without lights on. And I was like, yeah, but there's also shit everywhere.
Did you say it? Did you call them out on it?
I mean, no, I didn't say it in the moment, but as in that moment during a showing when the broker hopefully leaves us alone a little bit, I said to my client, I was like, you got to see past all this. It's like, so sorry, it's all here.
Right. Or a broker should at least prep you like, hey, the place is a disaster. Tell your client.
Yes.
So at least they could look at the pictures before and then they kind of have like some idea. But I'm supposed to be getting this listing. I don't know when, but they're hoarders. And they're like, somebody from the private bank said they have some girl, junior analyst who wants to buy an apartment. Do you think we should show her the apartment? I'm like, absolutely not. No one walking in there is going to see past your stuff. It doesn't matter. It's actually a penthouse, has an amazing view.
Yeah.
The apartment is gross the way it is.
And it's
no one could see past people's stuff. I really don't care.
I agree.
If you're in real estate, not in real estate, a developer, people remember that Amazon box at your
100%.
entrance. It's so funny. Or the guilt box.
It's like going on a date. It's like I sometimes I remember one thing, but I don't remember like him as a whole. I'm like, I remember this one aspect of the date. Like it's the same thing, and it's such a shame because sellers just don't understand that really hinders getting them a great price.
Yeah.
Like I'm dealing with a listing right now that we have, and it's such a great apartment, and they just have so much stuff in it. And I keep telling the seller, I'm like, you may not believe me, but you would probably get more money if you took it all out and staged it, But are there any pet peeves that other brokers do, either in a deal, showing an apartment?
I think with showings, I think if you're the listing agent, you need to be on time. All right, everything happens like one time off, but there's some brokers that you always show with, and they're always like pushing it back 15 minutes. But like that's on them, right? But it's always the same person. So I think being on time just like says a lot about how the whole deal will kind of go, right?
Yeah, because it's to your point, like you remember certain things.
Yeah.
So like a smooth showing in a great apartment is always gonna stay on someone's mind.
It seems easier. Even if it's a co-op, right? People are like, oh, this is easy. I'm like, yeah, until we do the board package.
Until it's not. I can't believe even to this day, and I sometimes feel like the more experienced brokers are bad at this. I constantly am doing showings, not necessarily in large apartments, where the other broker is on top of my client and I, like following us at every little curve and just like not giving us any space.
So that's a really good thing to mention. I have a listing. It's staged. It's whatever staging furniture company. I don't know the cost. It's expensive. They're like, please escort every buyer into every room to make sure they don't steal anything.
How much is this apartment?
It's like a $3.5 million listing. I mean, as someone stealing a magazine, I don't even know if the stager would realize it if they did, right? I mean, I just don't know what someone would steal.
Yeah, I mean,
A lamp?
there's nothing of value,
Like,
right?
is anyone walking out with a lamp?
Right.
You know, I just don't know.
Totally. I mean, I also, even when it's not staged, that's such a good point. Like, I've had sellers who were selling like a $6 million apartment, and they're like, please make sure no one goes near my safe. I'm like, you mean your safe that's locked for showings?
Right.
What are they doing? Like cracking the code?
Yeah,
like, is this like a
exactly.
movie? I don't know. I just don't, when I'm showing a listing of mine, I like to, to your point, I get there a little early, like even if it's 5 minutes, I either meet them in the lobby or they come into the apartment, and I'll give them like a little spiel about the building. I'll give them like a little spiel about the apartment, and then I'm like, do your thing.
I think that's better.
Yeah.
I think that's how the brokers do it in the Hamptons. They're kind of like, they kind of hang out in the kitchen and they're like, go and explore.
Yeah, because people want space. They don't want to feel like someone's breathing down their neck.
But I feel like every broker in Manhattan is like, this is the closet. This is the linen closet. Like, you have to see what the seller did.
Totally.
And like pull out the straw. But I'm like, okay, it's a linen closet. Like, okay, they spent $50,000 on this closet. Great for them.
I showed a $5.5 million apartment yesterday on the Upper East Side, and the broker got there 15 minutes early, he told me. And by the way, this is actually a friend of mine, so I gave him like crap in the showing. I was like, you couldn't do that? Like, we were joking about it. But in actuality, half of the window shades were down.
Oh, I hate that.
And it's a view apartment. Got there 15 minutes early. I was like, what were you doing here?
Exactly.
Unreal. And my client was like, can we open these? I was like, yeah, we can open them. And they're electric. Like, what are we doing?
All right, so I have a good story to top that. I recently had like a 5th showing on an apartment. High floor to ceiling windows. From day one, the blind was like, it was an electric blind in the living room. You saw the river and the skyline. It's like stuck midway, and the broker's like, the blind is stuck. And I'm like, okay. The second time, it's stuck. The third time, it's stuck. And my guy liked the apartment, and he couldn't see past it because of the blind. So like that $50, $100, $250 battery change on the electric blind costed the seller a sale.
It's the small things. It's such a small thing.
It's the small things.
Yeah, no, I mean, I honestly, these days, I feel like I'm turning down more listings than I am taking them, because in the market that we're in and the environment, the second a seller of mine pushes back on, two things I find. I'm not even pushing staging. Like, I've like, you gotta like give somewhere, pick your battles. If they're pushing back on painting and the apartment needs to be painted, or if they're pushing back on cleaning the windows.
Oh yeah, it can't get any easier than cleaning the window.
I mean, on a 1-bedroom apartment, cleaning the windows is probably $200. I mean,
and there's like 3 windows.
Yeah, correct. I had a pitch a month ago for a 2-bed on the Upper West, and I'm getting the listing, so like it's neither here nor there. But I said to her, I was like, you need to get these windows cleaned. Like it will do so much justice to the apartment. And I said to her, I was like, I'll pay for it. I'll Venmo you the $500. It's totally worth it. She was like, ugh, I just don't want like people in my space.
And you have to ask yourself, are you real? Because
Right.
I'm going to be showing the apartment to strangers.
I'm like, I don't know if I want to work with someone who's so difficult about these easy things.
That's like nothing.
Right, exactly. So on that note, we're going to take a little break.
Hey, it's Stephen Bailey from Roadway Moving and Storage. As an official moving partner of Brown Harris Stevens, we know that your clients deserve more than just a move. At Roadway Moving and Storage, we turn moving into an experience they will love. From specialized services to a white glove treatment, we've got it all covered. When you choose Roadway, you're choosing a peace of mind for your clients. Plus, our referral program is the most rewarding in the industry. Want to learn more? Shoot me an email at steven@roadwaymoving.com or visit roadwaymoving.com.
Calling all real estate investors. I'm Scott Nadler, VP of Mortgage Lending at Cross Country Mortgage, and it's time to level up your portfolio. Whether you're a seasoned pro or making your first investment, I'll find the right financing to maximize your returns. From single-family homes to multi-unit properties, I'm here to help you crush your investment goals. Ready to grow? Let's connect today and make it happen.
Welcome back with my buddy Ante. And just some like fun talks. So I want to kind of finish this topic. Tell me, what's another pet peeve? Honestly, it doesn't even have to be like selling real estate. Like, it doesn't have to be with sellers or buyers or anything. Just like, what's a huge pet peeve just to you?
I think if somebody has a pet and they make you take their shoes off in the house, but then you feel like dirt or you feel kitty litter on your socks. Or worse, if you don't have socks on, you then have it stuck to your foot.
I'll back you up on that because, well, number one, I hate cats. So like, it's a hard pass for me. But for me, I hate when people, like I make people take their shoes off in my apartment because it's spotless.
Right.
Like that's
which is then like appreciated.
Exactly. That's a different story than like, there are two small children that live in this apartment, so we're going to make you take your shoes off. Okay, but now I have granola on my feet, and I have to put these feet back into my nice shoes, which are then going to get granola in them.
Right.
I mean, no, I think my biggest, even being from here and like living here my whole life, I think my biggest pet peeve about an apartment, especially when they're like $8 million on Park Avenue, window air conditioners.
Oh. It just feels so cheap. Just feels so cheap.
It's
inexpensive.
unreal.
The funny thing is I just put something into contract on Park Avenue with the window ACs. But like at least the broker tried to hide them with nice window shades.
Totally. But I'm like, if you're a buyer, right, and you want, I don't know. Let's say
the Park Avenue one is the perfect example because the maintenance is always pushing 10,000.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what size it is, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom studio. It's
Totally.
always like close to 10,000 a month, and you have a $300 window unit that looks like it was there forever, about
100%.
to fall out.
100%. And they're like,
and you can't even clean the window to see out.
And my favorite is like people, I mean, I just sold my apartment on Park Avenue, so I do love it, and I was lucky enough to not have a window air conditioner. It's like a deal breaker for me. But, my favorite is like Park Avenue is not a quiet street. Like people think that it's so chic, and it is, but it's a noisy street. Like you have two-way traffic. And so that always that window that has the weird window air conditioner, you hear the street more.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh my God, $10 million buyer, like window air conditioners.
Yeah, I know.
That's insane to me.
I know. Central Air. Sellers, if you could do it, spend the $200,000.
But then my other question to you is, when you have a listing that may have a window air conditioner, do you really push your seller to get rid of it?
I have one now, and I made the super take the AC out.
Right.
Yesterday.
Is the seller living there?
They are.
And so they were okay with it.
It's April. They could put it back in July if it's not sold.
I recently said this to someone. They were like, next month is May. It's going to be so hot.
Okay.
I was like, well, but you also want to sell your apartment.
Right.
Right.
At least for picture day, it should not be there.
Right. And you can always, like, no matter how good the virtual staging is, you can always tell.
The window, I mean, there's usually a window frame that's like kind of like fuzzy or you can't see out.
Right.
I'm like, okay, Photoshop.
It's like when I love when brokers make windows in a listing like foggy or what do you call it? Like whited out. I'm like, well, now my attention's going straight there.
Look, I feel like if we were in a place where people weren't savvy or sophisticated, all of this is fine. But we deal with really sophisticated people, even if the price point is $1 million, 500,000, whatever it may be. You never know who's walking in.
So true.
Like right now, I'm selling a studio to a billionaire.
Right.
You would never know.
Yeah.
They're billionaires. but they look at little things and their surroundings are one level, right? So even this little apartment, they just think the same way because they know where they live.
100%.
So walking into this little apartment, they have the same expectation.
So, okay, so on that note, so speaking of all these apartments, where do you live, sir?
Okay, so I actually just closed on a new apartment on the Upper East Side.
Congrats.
Yeah.
So I left the Upper East, you moved to the Upper East.
Where did you go?
I actually just moved to Tribeca.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. But it's like a temporary thing. I'm going to buy, I think, again in like Tribeca or the Village.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's more fun, right? So I wanted trees. So I've always been kind of a downtown guy.
You have. I know. I'm very surprised.
Yeah.
But you're also chic. You have this like chic, like you're like a little waspy almost way about you.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. It takes me like 2 minutes to get dressed in the morning. It's just what I have in my closet. So some people put on Lululemon. I just put on a little blazer from Italy.
A little blazer. You're like double-breasted, beautiful blue blazer. Please. So wait, so where on the Upper East are you?
In the 60s. And 3rd. Yeah, I was actually going to move to Central Park West, but the co-op kept on rejecting my price. Ugh. The apartment needed dynamite. I really wanted that apartment.
To be clear, that means it needed to be gutted.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
To everyone listening.
Exactly. We did not want to explode the building by any means. I wanted that apartment so bad, but the 3rd time of increasing my price without a credit back, I was like, all right, condo it is. And I always am a firm believer of condo and townhouses. They just always do better for this very reason.
True. I mean, I always say, like, unless you're in an area that's only co-ops, right? Like when I bought my place on the Upper East, years ago, I only wanted to be on Park Avenue. So I like committed to a co-op. You know what I mean? Right. But no, actually, my aunt and uncle live on 66th and 3rd. So you're like right there.
Yeah, exactly.
And now, there's a St. Ambrose coffee shop?
There is on 65th. Yeah, I mean, all these articles about Uptown becoming cool. I mean, I don't know. But I mean, there's nice restaurants.
So 2 of my favorite brokers on the Upper East Side, who you definitely know, Catherine Tuckerman and Tanya Friedland, they both made the same exact joke to me. They were like, you left the Upper East Side, now it's cool. They're like Casa Tua came and Nightly's is great.
Oh, I haven't been there yet. Bar Penelope, I walked by the other night and was like, actually, there was a line to get in on a Friday.
That's wild.
I know.
At like 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
At midnight.
No.
At midnight, there was a line. And like people smoking. It reminded me of like Tao days or Lavo days.
Interesting. See, I'm having the opposite thing. I feel like I went from like early nights to now I was at Chez Margot on like a Thursday night until 2 in the morning. But wait, do you feel, because again, going into the aspect of, when we're with clients, like it's a personal business. We talk about our personal lives. Like, do you talk with clients a lot about where you live?
I feel like they're always so curious, like, oh, what does your closet look like? And I'm like, pristine. I'm like, it is not a mess. No plastic hangers sticking out. So yeah, I do. And people are always so curious and they kind of want like this image. So this is like a really funny story, but recently somebody told me, oh, I wanted to buy this townhouse because I envisioned myself dressing like you. And I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, that's such a compliment.
Crazy. It was such a compliment.
Such a compliment.
But they were moving from Brooklyn and like buying this fancy townhouse in Manhattan. And they're like, oh, I just want to look better. And I'm like, you could look better in Brooklyn. Like no one really cares where you live.
You could look better without this townhouse.
To be honest, there might be more money in Brooklyn nowadays than Manhattan, right? It doesn't matter. You could wear this wherever.
That's amazing. So, someone recently actually complimented like my fashion. They were like, you dress so like casually, but you're always very put together. Right. And I was like, gotta love Woodbury Commons.
I was like, it's great.
I was like, gotta love the outlets.
Yeah.
No, that's you just mentioned a pet peeve of mine that I just thought about. When brokers take photos of closets.
Oh, really? Unless it's like staged. It never looks good.
Sure, exactly. Like,
it never looks good. One broker on my team always does that. And I'm like, and you know, even if the lady has like Chanel bags, but if they're like 50 and they're like squished, it looks squished. Does not look good. It doesn't matter
if it's
what's in there.
Rack or Chanel.
Yeah, nothing cramped helps a seller sell.
So, you know, where you live, like, do you find that, so one of the things I'm dealing with right now is that, you know, I would say probably like 50% of my business just happens to be on the Upper East and the Upper West. So, you know, definitely part of that is from, you know, being raised on the Upper West. And then part of that is just like, I have lived on the Upper East for many years. And so I, you know, like I used to saying, like, I live on 76 and Park. Like, I know I'm always in this hood. Like, I know what is going on. And now with my clients in the Upper East, for example, I'm like, oh, well, I just sold my apartment on 76 and Park and moved downtown. And they're kind of like, oh, like, I don't know. Sometimes I'm nervous to tell them that I moved out of the neighborhood they want to be in.
Right.
Like, do you ever feel that way since you do business all over the city? Like, do you ever?
I don't really feel like that. I don't. You just, I mean, I don't know.
And like you're
you
like
could just
me.
be like, my life was on 76th and Park. I know this area like better than anyone else. And they're like, oh, okay.
I mean, it's also like you're like me. You have a lot of Brooklyn business too.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Brooklyn, like if you're not selling in Brooklyn as a New York City broker, you're like missing 50% of the market.
Totally. But with most of at least my clientele, because I'm not that old, but I like have an old way about me. All my clients are Park Slope, Prospect Heights, Carroll Gardens, you know, and sometimes I feel like I want to make sure that they know I know these areas in and out, even though I don't live here.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, yeah, like Brooklyn's amazing. Like it's so beautiful and everything like that. Yet I live in Manhattan.
That is such a good thing to mention. I just feel like the dynamics in Brooklyn are totally different. People are so happy to buy there. So everything is great.
It's true.
They
It's
don't
so
care
true.
where you're coming from. You could be like commuting from Mars, but if you say Brooklyn is great, they love it.
It's so true. And it's so funny because
like they don't care if you don't know the coffee shop, the butcher, whatever, the train station. Everything's great.
But I'm one of those people who, you know, coming from parents and cousins and people who commute to work, I was always that person that was like, I cannot commute. Like, I just can't do a commute. Like an hour commute on like a train to Connecticut sounds horrible to me. But Brooklyn people don't care.
Yeah, they don't.
Right?
They also city bike more, even in January.
Totally.
Like I sold someone an apartment and he skateboards from Williamsburg over the bridge to the office in Flatiron. Like skateboard. Can you imagine going to work and skateboarding January on the bridge? Like I just can't imagine that.
I love some of the way you say things like, can you imagine?
No, I'm just like,
can you? Oh my God. So wait, so
like,
okay.
it's so windy to even walk. So, can you imagine like skateboarding, a little briefcase, laptop?
So wait, so you've been doing this for 8 years?
Actually 13.
Really?
12 and a half. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I started at 18.
Wow. Yeah, actually, you know who else? Jared Seligman was very similar to that.
Yeah.
But you're so much nicer and better. But I mean, from doing it so long, I am always intrigued, and Ian Slater and I talked about this a little bit, you know, when you are young and get into this young, like, what have you learned? Like, what was, if you could go back and tell your 18-year-old self something, like what, like, I know it's an on the spot question, but
Okay. I have to think about that.
Okay, we'll get back to it.
I mean, I think young brokers always, you know, have confidence because they have no fear of like messing up. So I think that, you know, sometimes you have to speak less as a younger broker and listen more.
I always feel like Jill Preschel and I talked about this. I feel like you're one end of the spectrum or the other. You're like exactly the way you just said. You have no fear, and you know, it's like, who cares? I'm young. Like,
right.
I have the rest of my life. Right. or you're young and like so nervous because you feel like you're not prepared or like don't have as much experience, and there's like no middle ground.
Right, but young brokers have like all week to prepare for one appointment on a Sunday at the beginning. So why aren't you prepared?
So speaking of all week, we're going to take a short break.
This beautiful set here at Studio 1873 is brought to you by the Everset. The Everset provides full-service staging and furniture rental solutions in the New York area. We work with Brown Harris Stevens and many other top real estate firms, staging their homes to sell quickly and at the highest price possible. Our staging is affordable without sacrificing quality or design. For more information, please visit us at staging.theeverset.com or email us at staging@theeverset.com to request a free proposal.
What do you really need to know about buying or selling a home? First, it's serious business, and it's complicated. There's a lot of money on the table, and emotion too. You need an agent who knows the ropes. So, whether you're buying or selling your home, work with professionals who have a mastery of the craft.
Welcome back, Ante. So excited. Still excited. So we were talking about kind of just like being young and what you've learned in the business. But honestly, the last 5 years since COVID has been like a totally different, at least for me. I got started, I'm trying to think, 7 years before COVID started. Mm-hmm. So actually, no, sorry. 9 years before COVID started. So like it was just so different. So like what's the past 5 years been like for you?
I feel like the buyer pool changed in New York City. I feel like people are also easier to or spend their money easier for good quality and flexibility. I also find that New York City kind of became more of a secondary or third market where maybe pre-COVID people lived in New York more so. Although now it's kind of changing again.
I feel like because all those people came back.
Right. But like post-COVID, it was like secondary market. Like, oh, we'll get a little place in New York, but our home is Florida or the Hamptons or Connecticut or wherever.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of my clients, a lot of my buyers after COVID were not just focused on an apartment. They're like, we are allotting this amount of money for an apartment because we're also going to put this amount of money into a house outside. They're like, now we need both.
Right.
Because like, what if we have another pandemic?
Right. But also if you walk in the city now, people are back at the offices.
Yeah.
So, as much as people like their weekend homes or secondary homes, they kind of need to be in the office whether they like it or not.
I mean, especially like companies like Amazon are requiring, 4 days a week in the office. I'm excited for the new JP Morgan headquarters to open. I think it'll be like a major shift for Midtown because they're going to require everyone to go there.
Yeah. And it looks so nice in the skyline.
It's huge, massive. So for me, it's like 2020 to 2022, I was crazy busy with buyers. It was like opportunistic buyers taking advantage of the COVID market, people moving out, like low interest rates.
3%, 2.5%, whatever it was.
Exactly. But then in 2023 to now, it has been definitely less buyers. But to your point, it's not as much like opportunistic buyers. It's more just buyers who are looking for either quality or exactly what they want. It's like if they're not going to get exactly or really close, they're just going to keep renting.
Yeah, they won't buy it.
Yeah.
They'll wait.
Yeah.
I feel like people are less pressured to buy something. Like maybe pre-COVID, people were like, we need to be in by September. Like we need to sign the contract by June. For whatever reason.
Yeah.
But I feel like that pressure has shifted. Also, more millennials, like in the 30-year-old range, have like parents involved with their purchase, but the purchases are larger. And now like mom and dad are giving money or the aunt, and their opinion matters.
Yeah, it's like I I work with so many clients whose parents are helping them so that they don't have to be as exposed to interest rates.
Right.
You know? And I'm like, oh, that's so nice. Like it'll never get old. I'm
Right.
always like, how nice for you.
It's
I
so
wish
nice.
I had that.
It's so nice, but then like the parents are in Bumble, wherever, and they're like, oh, we're not paying $2.5 million for a 2-bedroom, go buy a 3-bedroom. And then they're like, oh, we don't get why this is $4 million and that's $2.5 million. Right. And I'm like, come and fly here and see it.
Yeah.
This building has a pool and that one faces a brick wall.
Understand.
And
the
they're
market.
like, it's a block away. I'm like, and?
Right, exactly. You're in 2 totally different buildings that were built
Exactly.
at 2 totally different times.
Right.
No, you're right. It is hard. It's so hard dealing with people who are not here.
Yeah, if they don't really know the market here, it's so funny.
It's so funny. So one of my not new clients, but like an old client that then came back, you know, and originally they were pied-à-terre people and now they're moving back full time because he just became the CEO of a huge fashion house. And he and his wife, you know, we were looking at everything around a certain price range and we looked at resales, we looked at new development, and they would go into a resale that honestly was staged and so nice. And they'd be like, how does anyone, they're French. So they'd be like, how does anyone buy this? Like, how can you buy something that's so like used? I'm like, I don't know. It really made me giggle. It goes back to the idea of, you know, people really want that quality these days.
Right.
They don't want to do a thing.
I mean, I also think it's so exciting when you walk into a good new development and you're like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
It kind of sells itself.
Oh my God, totally.
You know, the windows are nice, the central air, there's no window unit.
Yeah.
AC, right? So it just feels different.
Yeah, it's also just, you know, people either, to what you were saying, it's like people want quality and they don't want to do a thing of work. They want to like paint, like design paint,
Right.
or they want a huge gut. You know, there's
Right.
like no in between. There's like why would they do something that, you know, is like half done,
Right.
with the cost of materials these days and now tariffs and everything.
Right.
You
I
know?
also feel like people are spending way more on interior design than pre-COVID. Like people have no budget with that. They'll spend on like the sofa for $60,000 or whatever. And I think pre-COVID, people were a little bit more frugal.
Well, I think also, like, people realize, I hate to say it, but with global warming, you spend a lot more time in your apartment than we ever did. Like, it's the middle of April and it's 50 degrees today.
Yeah, it's like winter.
Right. Like, so I think the days of, you know, like April to September being outside all the time I think it's less.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. Okay. So to finish up, I'm going to go back to the question I asked you. If you could say one thing to yourself when you started, not even when you started in the business, but like it could be about anything.
I think your contacts really matter and you have to stay organized with your contacts. So I never think it's too early for a young agent to start tracking their clients in some way, Excel, CRM. You never know, right? Like that person you know from the coffee shop could be your biggest lead source, but you need to remind them you're in real estate. And I think that a lot of young agents stay in touch with them at the beginning, but then as they grow, they like forget those people. And I mean, to be successful in the business, you really have to remember everyone in your life. Perfect example, someone from my like elementary school recently wrote to me and was like, hey, I like sold a company for X dollars. I want to buy an apartment in New York for like over 10 million. And I don't even remember this kid.
We love those.
But he had me on Facebook from elementary school.
Wow.
But I was posting on Facebook like, oh, they're sold or whatever. And I was like, okay, wow, it works. People just need to be reminded you're in real estate.
Yeah, and I think, you know, what's so great about our business is that there's so many ways to screw in a light bulb. Like there's so many ways to go about this. You know, you love a CRM to keep your contacts. Like I hate a CRM. I love keeping track of an Excel sheet. It like gives me something to do and when I'm not sleeping. But yeah, it's such a good point. It's like, I think I think sometimes, at least for myself, I was never a super confident person growing up. So when I came into the business, so young like you, I was like, I want to be Nicky Field. Like, I want to be Leonard Steinberg. Like, I want to be the biggest and the best. But and I was confident, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, let's be real. Like, this could crash and burn. Like, so I don't think I kept as much track of people I was meeting and stayed on top of it so much because the success happens so much so fast. And it's like what we dream for,
right.
You know what I mean? But it's also hard, I think, to emotionally prepare yourself for it.
Right. It's also like a business that really, you have to give it your all. You can't be like half-assed about it and like forget someone. You have to remember everyone. You really don't know like where your next deal's coming from.
Totally. So with forgetting people, I hope no one out there forgets us. And I hope we have tons of people listening because Ante is one of my most exciting and enjoyable guests. So thank you for joining.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
We'll see you next time on The Devil's Advocate. Bye.